Mr. Mahamadou Baromia of the NPP, Mr. John Dramani Mahama of the NDC, Alan Kojo Tremantin, an independent candidate, Christian Kwabena Andrews of the Ghana Union Movement, Daniel Augustus Latte Jr. of the Great Consolidated Popular Party, Mr. George Chumberi Maedu, an independent candidate, Nana Kwame Bediako, an independent candidate, Mr. Hassan Ayariga, All People's Congress, Mr. Kofi Akpaloo of the Liberal Party of Ghana, Ekwe Adonko of the Ghana Freedom Party, Mr. Kofi Kranting, an independent candidate, Nana Akosua Frimpong Kamakama of the Convention People's Party, and Mohamed Frimpong of the National Democratic Party. The candidates who were disqualified after the thorough review process are Mr. Samuel Apia Dankwa, an independent candidate, Miss Janet Nabela, an independent candidate, Mr. Desmond Abrifa, an independent candidate, Nana Jepong Stevens, an independent candidate, Mr. Paul Pepo, an independent candidate, Mr. Bernard Mona of the People's National Convention, James Kwesi Opong, an independent candidate, Mr. Samuel Sapong Ankra, an independent candidate, Mr. Niamu Dabu, an independent candidate, and Mr. Asamoah Siang of the Progressive People's Party. It is important to note that the candidate for the Progressive Alliance for Ghana, Mr. John Kweku Pipi, withdrew his nominations after the filing process. Baromia of the NPP satisfied all the requirements and was cleared by the two committees established to do so. Mr. Kofi Akpaloo initially had issues with his tax certificate. However, he was provided an opportunity to correct it, and the issues were resolved, and he was cleared by the committee. Mr. Christian Andrews of the Ghana Union Movement initially had incomplete details for his vice presidential candidate and incomplete records for some of the supporters. The issues were, however, resolved after he was provided with an opportunity to correct same. Mr. Kwame Bediako initially had no tax clearance certificate for his vice presidential candidate, and the photo size that he presented was not a postcard. However, he corrected these issues and was cleared by the committee. Mr. George Chumberi Maedu, an independent candidate, had no symbol and colors to represent himself. However, he was provided with an opportunity, and the issues were resolved within the nomination period, and he was cleared by the committee. Mr. Hassan Ayariga presented only one completed nomination form. The other two did not have some pages, I think from page 137 to 142. The issues, he was presented with these findings, and he went on to correct them, and he was cleared by the committee. Mr. John Dramani Mahama of the NDC satisfied all requirements and was cleared by the committee. Mr. Alan Kojo Tremantin, independent candidate, satisfied all requirements and was cleared by the committee. Madam Ekwe Adonko of the Ghana Freedom Party also resolved issues to do with her nomination. She was subsequently cleared by the committee. Mr. Daniel Augustus Latte also had a number of issues to do with his form. The issues were, however, resolved, and he was cleared by the committee. Madam Akosua Frimpong Kamakama had a number of issues, and these issues were brought to her attention and the attention of the party, and the were able to satisfy the requirements and the committee cleared them. Mohammed Frempo of the NDP also had a number of issues ranging from a non-submission of a tax clearance certificate for the vice presidential candidate and incomplete particulars of some supporters. The issues were resolved within the nomination period and he was cleared by the committee.
Yeah, that's the Electoral Commission. That's where ede abra enipa dodo na yisi no ede abetuja se sabridi omatimi akle omo se omumtimi njina se presidential candidate wa afia ba ebetu imu no omo nipa edumiensa na Electoral Commission echire mu se sabridi omatimi ama omo ho kwan se omo hwe na omumtimi embegina na bra isi kasa na omo chire mu se abato afia abato no omo de se de na yehu se omo gina se content kro no ombehe ejina se content crow ama afia bato no emu etimi ada ho fine na ne omuwe adwumadie no omusa ahwe se enipa omahye se anase omakla omuse omuntimi engina no omumbe balloting se de be a ebehu bebi obi ada na okwa akoto ababon se party we gina ha no wo bebi a obeto wabona afa na bra balloting ekwa wiye no UTV in Central for ene amafo a na wodwumadie na se bi etimi etwetwe nkomo.
Nobody was given any advantage. The truth of the matter is that the number, even though people make it look like the number is particularly important, what matters actually is the work that needs to be done. If you work hard, no matter what number you have, I mean, you emerge. Whether you're the last or the first or in the middle, you emerge. Many of us have gone through elections and we won even though we were not the very first on the ballot or even the very last on the ballot. So that has to be done. Our position was simply to ensure that the very motto of the Electoral Commission, which is about transparency, was adhered. That's why we insisted on making sure nobody had any advantage. So the outcome, the NDC is okay with the outcome. We were not happy with the fact that the second round, even though all of us agreed that nobody should have a view of the particular board, MPP still insisted on doing. But we're dealing with a group that obviously is very worried about transparency. And you can see that every single person who went to the second round, nobody looked except the NPP. Only they tried to look into the law. And why they were even insisting not to have an opaque situation where nobody has an advantage, only they would know. But what is written is written. And I can say for a fact that the victory of the NDC is written, and we are going to make sure we work hard. And that reality will come to pass on the day.
Was random sampling, probability. We didn't do it once, it was a number of them. So please, by God's grace, we committed into the hands of the Lord Almighty. We picked, we're number one to file. In order of picking, we pick one. In order of placement on the ballot, we pick one. We think that it is not for any purpose. It is the will of God. Thank you.
Ghana, there's a need for a change. Mama ya your mama eche ekopokwan hunia. And there will be exactly boss here. Yeah, no another 1.5 hours around. It be a caved. It be a and so at the end of the day, unnecessary hassle. That's what I think. I'm more balls. As the boss, but around. Meanwhile, it was already examined. Kabos, the winner examined can know. So for me, all I say is the number policy is the most important.
Also for be the chair or share or my your former good year and it's as one some so honorable Meku Duka the some to just say and say Meku ahodo asore say abani hwe na former good year yentu no kwan personal say yensu yakwa ne atena ye na no the some to just say small scale mining former good year tunu nkuma mu no ebi edomani akye so eye Meku ahodo ne domani akye so nka aban no emfatabo no ento so kakra na no kyeremu say on the GDM no nyini se for gudi tunu nkuma mu no mo enema enioma no ese nemum yenhwere baby fi no yensia no se oman.
Government is putting in measures to address that challenge of protecting our river bodies. It is very key and very dear to my heart. My heart bleeds when I see people boldly mining river bodies. It's uncalled for. It's uncalled for. And I'll call on all small-scale miners to rise up and fight this canker together. That whoever mines in the river body is an enemy to this country, obviously. But that in any way mustn't warrant that call for the ban on small-scale mining. And I hear people on other platforms insulting Mrekuduka because I've called for the regularization of small-scale mining sector instead of the ban. And I'm consistent. I'll be consistent. And I was consistent. I mentioned this in 2018 that there wasn't any need of ban, even though my government banned that. But I said no. I disagree, and I disagreed at that time, and still disagree that that is not the solution. The solution is to map out clear-cut strategy in protecting our river bodies, and that solution we have. And at the appropriate time, we are implementing. Ghanaians will hear from government. Government is not going to ban it. For that one, I can vouch for, because I'll keep on explaining to government the need for us to protect our small-scale mining industry that is contributing to our GDP, and is contributing no less than 8.4% of our GDP. And such a sector, you don't just...
Well, Galamsey nsem ya ho na ekuo be nsia omaka omo ho abom etrese aban enhwe na LI 2462 aban enhwe na onyin firi ho aka ho bi amakoi e de aban akogina sanibia se sa emrai na ama amanfo ho kwan ni tumi se omo kwayem no omo kotu Galamsey ense oman kwaye ne oman sase omo chim se sa aban timi hwe anase se court no eje omo nsem tum na sa LI aban eyi free ho a ebetimi aboa ama Galamsey amanfo ene omoto omani asiso na kwaye ahodo omo ese no ano betimi abrase na panyi a ono ene panyi kwantrefo abidi echi a oda rocha Ghana no Daryl Bosu ene central for etwetwe nkomo echemu adekro potentia a omode aban akogina court.
Groups are Kasa Initiative Ghana, Nature and Development Foundation, Tropemos Ghana, Arusha Ghana, Civic Response, any eco-conscious citizens, any Ken Ashigbe, convener of Media Coalition Against Galamsey, ye na Kambum, at the Minister for Environment, Science and Technology and Innovation, the Environmental Protection Agency, Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Minerals Commission, the Speaker of Parliament, any Attorney General, Eco Court, Ebiom, yes, also at the application, say, a Jumabia Eco Siana, Efasa, Yaman, and Conform Quines, or Uncle to a former good year or Quaemuno, Elsini Nano, Yejai. Now, at the porting tia, MIAD and semi air to Jane say, see a sha, Emremuno, and can you say a bino, etumi kra and as a Ministry for Environment, etumi